In a recent post, longtime Bitcoin basher Peter Schiff mentioned that despite no good evidence, his bank account was recently frozen. And many were quick to point out that this is especially ironic coming from someone that has been a longtime critic of permissionless, decentralized cryptocurrencies. And although many people are using this as a told you so moment, I think it's beneficial to take a more nuanced approach to this, which I would like to do in today's video. Hey everyone, and welcome back. This is the Part-Time Economist, and in today's video I wanted to jump into this situation that's going on with Peter Schiff getting his bank account frozen. Now, first off, for those of you who do not know, Peter Schiff is a longtime critic of cryptocurrencies, so many people find it very ironic that he is kind of getting bitten by the very thing that these cryptocurrencies he criticizes were designed to protect against. And although people will be quick to kind of poke and point and make fun, I don't want to do that in this video because, number one, I don't ever think it's cool to make fun of someone's misfortune, but number two, I think there's actually a lot we can learn from this. So, as always, this is an educational video, not pro-crypto or anti-crypto or pro-gold or anti-gold, just really trying to cover some of the current events based on the objective facts. Now, what I'm going to do in this video, number one, is briefly explain what happened with Peter Schiff. Number two, kind of dive into the essence of what cryptocurrencies are and why so many people are poking fun at him for this. And then number three, compare cryptocurrencies, which Peter Schiff does not like, to gold, which he is a massive fan of. So, basic background information here. What it says is that Peter Schiff had his bank accounts closed by the regulators for these net capital issues. And you can read into it, but basically the authorities were looking into him and he thought he was in the clear and he said he had the money and he had these things, and whatever the case may be, it's really beside the point here because the basic underlying issue is that he has funds that are his and they're being blocked. He's saying, hey, I can't do stuff with my own funds, right? And this is exactly what the cryptocurrency people are saying. They're saying, hey, this is literally what cryptocurrencies are designed to prevent, right? Not your keys, not your coins. And they're kind of using this as an opportunity to say, this is exactly what we've been telling you all along. So, as with everything, you've got two sides to the story. You've got Peter Schiff saying, hey, these are my funds. And then you also have the regulators that maybe have these net capital requirements, that have reserve requirements, right? And what I would like to show is that cryptocurrencies really kind of speak to both sides of this issue. Now, I know when we say cryptocurrencies, it's very easy to kind of have a biased opinion. People see the complete hype and speculation lately, and it's easy to get distracted. So they see a picture of a monkey online selling for millions of dollars, or they see the implosion of the Terra Luna ecosystem and say that cryptocurrency is just wild speculation. And although I will admit there's a lot of flashy projects out there, I'd like to go back to the underlying essence of what is a cryptocurrency, what are they really designed for, right? So don't think about the cash grabs or anything like that. What's the fundamental reason that cryptocurrencies exist? And to do that, we're going back to the Bitcoin white paper. Number one, because it is the oldest cryptocurrency, it started cryptocurrencies, and when we think of cryptocurrency in the pure form, this is where I would direct people. So, a purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash would allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution. That's one key point. And then the second, what it says here is that it's a ongoing chain of hash-based proof of work, forming a record that cannot be changed, okay? And then lastly, we have here, let's see, the longest chain not only serves as proof of the sequence of events witnessed, but proof that it came from the largest pool of CPU power. So we've got a couple things. Peer-to-peer form of electronic cash, we've got that. We have got this record of events that really can't be changed without massive amount of effort. And I think that speaks to both sides of the issue here. Number one, we have Peter Schiff that's saying, hey, this is my money. I should be able to do with it what I want. And that's the entire nature of a peer-to-peer form of cash. Think about a cash transaction. If you want to buy a pair of new shoes and I have those shoes, you give me $50, I give you the new shoes, right? That transaction is between you and I, right? it's between the parties involved because it's a cash transaction. Now, let's suppose instead we want to pay with credit card or check. It's got to get cleared through a bank, it's got to go through Visa, whatever the case, and at each point throughout that transaction, these third parties can stop that transaction. So, someone that's not even a party to our transaction can prevent it from going through. And in a bit of a way, that's what's happening here. Peter Schiff is being prevented by a third party from doing these things with his money. So that's why so many people are saying cryptocurrencies could have prevented this, because that's exactly what they were designed to do. But I don't want to just be like an apologetic here for Peter Schiff, because at the same time, these banks, these financial regulators, right? They have a legitimate interest in making sure that the bank or whoever has the assets that it says it has, right? That a business has the assets it says it has. And that's another benefit of cryptocurrencies. With everything being on a public, decentralized blockchain, anyone can see what funds are assigned to what address. It's very transparent to see whether or not certain funds are there. So it kind of speaks to both sides of the issue. And now that we've talked about that, what I would really like to do is move on to the third point, which I find very interesting. Now, Peter Schiff has been a long-time critic, not just of Bitcoin, but distrust of the existing financial system in general. And I find this is a trend with people that invest in gold and cryptocurrencies. And although they might both have a distrust of the existing system, it's interesting to me to see that people that might like gold or might like cryptos don't necessarily like both, right? So there's kind of a, not for all people, but especially in Peter Schiff's case, there's a bit of this divide where he says, I do like the one, but I don't like the other. And I'd like to just briefly compare and contrast them. Now, what we see, and I think really, again, not an investment advice, what it really comes down to is tangibility, materiality. Gold, obviously, which Peter Schiff is a fan of, is a physical, tangible asset, right? I'll show you here. You can buy a gold bar if you want to buy a gold bar. And some people like that. They like saying, hey, gold has been around for thousands of years. I can feel it. I can hold it. It looks good. I can wear it. All of these things, right? And for everyone that likes that, there's someone that doesn't like that, right? Because if you're one of the people that says, hey, the financial system is untrustable, I don't like it, then that tangibility of gold becomes an issue because you've got to hide it somewhere, right? If you're moving, if you're trying to escape somewhere, you've got to take it with you. It could be confiscated, right? And even with, this is what I find very interesting, this idea of Peter Schiff and his bank accounts getting frozen. If you're storing gold in a third-party depository, how is that any different than a bank, right? So gold, for better or worse, is a physical object, right? By contrast, cryptocurrencies are intangible. I can't hold a Bitcoin. I can't wear a Bitcoin. And some people don't like that. They say it's just magic internet money, right? They can't understand the digital nature and what makes it valuable, right? And again, not saying one is better than the other, but that is a common criticism, is that there's nothing inherently valuable about Bitcoin because it's a ledger entry on some database somewhere. Someone will point at gold and say, hey, if all else fails, it looks really pretty. It feels really cool. But on the flip side, just as some people like gold being tangible and there's advantages and disadvantages, the same could be said of cryptocurrencies. So as where Peter Schiff has his money in a bank, he would have to store his gold with a custodian, right? With Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies broadly speaking, there's none of that, right? I don't have to have a custodian for my Bitcoin. I can store it on a USB drive. I can store it on my cell phone. I can memorize my key phrase for my cryptocurrency and I can walk through any checkpoint without having to have it get confiscated. It weighs nothing, right? If I'm trying to survival mode, run around, right? There's nothing like that to where there's no weight requirement for the gold. And then, of course, you get into online transactions, stuff like that. Gold, obviously, you have to test it. You've got to verify it. Think of doing online commerce with gold, right? Could be perhaps difficult. By contrast, cryptocurrencies, they're immediately verified through that public blockchain. They can be sent electronically. So some inherent differences. And again, not saying one is better than the other, but what I do find interesting is that people that distrust the existing financial system, they look for those alternatives, and in some cases they go the cryptocurrency route, right? It's permissionless, it's decentralized, it's intangible, and then other people go the gold route. And again, I just find it interesting to me personally why one person would choose one over the other. Many people choose both, and of course that's fine too. But specifically with regards to Peter Schiff, I wonder, will this change his viewpoint? Because what he's seeing is that this bank, right, this financial institution, has kind of put a block on his funds. Well, what if instead of a bank, it's a bullion depository, right? At the end of the day, yes, the underlying asset is different, right? You have cash, or you have gold, or you have silver, but the concept of it being stored with a third party, of course, could be very different. So with that being said, I think it's an interesting situation, and again, I don't like pointing or poking fun or saying I told you so, but it is very interesting to me how he has been such a critic of these cryptocurrencies, and now he's getting into a situation that I don't necessarily want to say cryptocurrencies would have solved it, but it's something that cryptocurrencies were really designed to protect against. So let me know, what are your thoughts? What do you think about Peter Schiff and his gold? Cryptocurrencies, you have a little bit more leeway than I do to kind of share what your favorite is and why. But as always, I like to thank you for watching the video. I hope you found it useful, and I will see you in the next one.